Glad you're staying with us right here on The Exchange, where your business is our business. I'm Rico Hizon. Energy is closely connected to the economy. How vulnerable is the country to shocks such as thin power reserves? We get the perspective of BMI Power and Renewables analyst David Thoo, who joins us now from Singapore. David, great to have you with us. How important is the energy sector's role in this ongoing Philippine economic rebound?
Thanks for having me, Rico. And that's a great question, because Philippines is one of the biggest growing, or should I say strongest growing economy in the coming years. And our country risk team expects it to grow at an annual average of 6.6% real GDP growth over the next 10 years. And what does this mean? It means that economic activity will grow strongly, and that will also result in electricity consumption growth strongly in the next 10 years as well. And definitely energy security is a prominent and key issue that will need to be addressed to ensure that this economic growth sustains itself throughout the next 10 years.
David, unfortunately though, the country has had recent power failures. Will this impact the economic recovery?
Yeah, power outages is certainly something like a spanner in the works, because throwing a spanner into the works, because Philippines power market is expanding quite rapidly, and we expect it to continue to expand rapidly. But the power outages could mean that these efforts in expanding the power market could be hindered, and this would definitely affect manufacturing activities and these energy intensive industries as they look to secure more power to expand their operations in the market itself.
So David, with these power outages happening quite consistently year after year, how much could it deduct from the GDP numbers? What are the downside numbers if we continue to have these power failures?
Yeah, the power outages can be quite infrequent and actually out of schedule. So this can actually it can be a gray area when we come to narrow it down to the numbers of GDP itself. But I think the main how do I put this? The main point that we would like to drive across is that energy security has to be addressed, either by securing more fuel feedstock such as gas, coal, or building more renewable power projects and actually integrating them with the grid to ensure that that it's not relying too much on one sector or one area to provide the power for the whole economy.
All right, the government has now basically allowed full ownership in the renewable energy sector, which you mentioned is one key component in the energy mix for the country. But will foreign investors really want to invest in renewables if the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines is having problems with its transmission grids?
This opening up of the renewables sector to 100% foreign ownership actually accelerated quite quickly. It was proposed in September 2022 and it was implemented December 2022. So compared to its Southeast Asian regional peers, Philippines is actually moving quite strongly on this front, and it actually gives investors, foreign investors as well, clarity on what the government is trying to drive at, which is more renewables growth. And you brought up a good issue as well, or like a key point, which is the transmission grid. Well, the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines actually do have their grid expansion plans connecting Luzon with Mindanao and with Visayas, and this is actually something that's a clear development for investors and developers to say that, hey, we are going to improve our grid, and we are going to ensure that your renewable energy power projects get connected to the grid.
Because the Department of Energy is set to offer 11,600 megawatts worth of renewables under the Green Energy Auction Program this coming June. So the big question is, if we have power failures, especially with our grids, where will that all go if we don't have the transmission infrastructure?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like we need, and even though there's clear plans in the works, we do need to see more infrastructure being committed to, more developments being developed in the supporting infrastructure, such as the transmission and distribution networks. But however, we still see that there has been an increase in the number of renewable power projects within just the past 6 months. The amount of non-hydropower renewable projects captured in our projects database actually increased by 10% in the Philippines.
Thank you so much for this energy economy exchange. BMI Power and Renewables analyst David Thoo joining us from Singapore. And still ahead on the exchange, where your business is our business. From renewables to conventional energy sources, we explore possible investments and innovations in the power sector with energy advisory firm GAA Delgado. This is CNN Philippines. News you can trust.